Well, the government says that there's a lot of cattle in the pipeline right now. A little bit later, we'll find out how that may impact prices for producers. Also ahead in the markets this week in August, the U.S. cotton crop may be declining. A shortage of framing lumber may be developing, and the prices for eggs are falling at the farm gate. Due to production problems surfacing domestically as well as globally, cotton prices may be heading higher. Economist O.A. Cleveland notes we saw a June low, which he says is typically followed by an August high. And based on export sales, he says he expects some fairly aggressive basis offers as we get into the harvest season.
Cotton will be much more desirable in August than it is today. The October contract reflects that, so we should see some very handsome offers basis the December contract as we get closer to first notice day on December. So that would be a time to price in all likelihood based on what we see now.
Meanwhile, in the soybean market, large global supplies may serve to hurt prices come fall. Here's trader Elaine Cubb with more.
When you look at the old crop market, let's say, or even that October-November timeframe when we want to be selling exports, I'm really concerned about the soybean prices when you look at the large and sort of overwhelmingly large supplies that could be competing with us out of South America, where price-wise we'd have to knock about 8 cents off of our basis, 8 cents per bushel, to make us competitive in that October-November timeframe.
Well, it was about 13 years ago that this last happened, a shortage of framing lumber in this country. But forestry product analysts say the signs are there. In fact, 21% of U.S. single-family home builders report they are experiencing a problem this year. Traders note this is consistent with the recent increases in prices for softwood lumber. Looking at our trivia quiz now for this week, it's about the organic industry in this country. Here's the question for you. What percentage of total U.S. food sales is for organic food? Is the answer 2.5%, over 5%, almost 8.5%, or as high as 13%? We'll have the answer coming up. A surplus supply of eggs at the moment is not helping farm gate prices for U.S. poultry producers. Extension economists say prices are at a 10-year low right now. Poultry specialist Tom Tabler says prices should recover later in the fall and winter when demand for eggs goes up. Well, some late July cattle reports out of Washington contain some eye-catching numbers for producers. Extension livestock economist Josh Maples says the impact at the farm gate remains to be seen. Well, the headline of this cattle inventory report would seem to be this calf crop, the size of it.
That's right, Layden. So the July 1 cattle inventory report showed an estimated 36.3 million calves to be born in 2017. This is about 1.2 million head more than last year. And remember last year was a 1 million head increase from the year before that. So this will be the largest calf crop in the past decade. The report also showed the total number of cattle and calves in the country at 103 million head. This also would be the largest total herd size of the past 10 years.
Well, with all these animals in the pipeline, is demand going to be able to keep up and support prices?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And so we're in a setting right now where we know what's coming our way supply-wise. Trying to measure what impact demand is going to have is harder to predict. So if we look at this year, we're in a pretty good spot compared to where we were last year especially. So right now feeder prices in Mississippi are about 10% higher than they were this time last year. So even in the growing supplies over the past year, we've seen an increase in prices, and this is because of the demand pull. But things can change quickly, and that's something we're going to continue to keep an eye on. Right now, all stages of the beef production process or production cycle are profitable, and this has been a good thing for cattle prices throughout the system. But we're going to keep an eye on it as these large placements from months past become marketings in the next few months.
Well, the cattle on feed report that was out the same day as the inventory report, it had some big numbers as well.
Absolutely, and that's probably the biggest surprise that we had last week was the number of placements. Placements were up 16% over last year. Market expectations, or analyst expectations, if you will, were somewhere around a 6% increase. So the report totally blew the analyst expectations. And so this was a big shock to the industry. A lot of these calves that were placed were lightweight cattle. So they were cattle that were being pulled forward that might have normally been placed in July, but instead they were placed in June. So there's going to be an effect there where some cattle that were placed in June won't be placed in July, but that effect's hard to tease out until we get the July report, of course. But yeah, marketings were also up 4%. That was pretty much expected. But the big boom in placements drove total cattle on feed numbers to about 4% higher than they were last year. So we've got more cattle in feedlots right now.
Back to the trivia quiz now as we wrap things up in the markets, and the answer is B this week. Organic food now accounts for 5.3% of total food sales in the U.S.